Hi, I'm Robert Nieman, editor of Interiors and Sources, and we're here at the Greenbuild Conference and Expo in Toronto, talking with Holly Henderson, founder of H2 Ecodesign. Holly, with LEED 2012 coming up, there's been some changes in the materials and resources category, specifically as it relates to LCAs and EPDs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what sort of impact that might have for product manufacturers and designers who are specifying green products?
Absolutely. In LEED 2009, they were really focused on more of a foundational change. They were trying to look at reweighting credits and things of that nature and adding minimum program requirements. But with LEED 2012, they're actually looking at making technical rigor changes. Okay. So that's where they're really looking at trying to add additional emphasis on the environmental goals with the U.S. Green Building Council. So with this, adding things like LCA, life cycle assessment or life cycle analysis, as well as EPDs or environmental product declarations, they're really looking to make it more transparent for both the product manufacturers as well as the designers. So with EPDs, they're actually a standardized format, a way that you can look at LCAs in a standardized way. And so that's the fantastic thing about giving this kind of added transparency to both product manufacturers as well as to the design industry as a whole. I went yesterday actually at Greenbuild to a session between Pharos and Building Green, which is a collaborative effort that they're doing, where they're looking at how to do an open standard format. So what they did is they took all the various systems that are out there that are trying to look at the chemical components that are in materials, and they looked at things like Perkins and Will's precautionary list. Right. They looked at what's the EPA requiring, and they did an overlapping slide trying to show all the different requirements from all the various organizations, and it was very interesting because some of them would require some chemicals, some would require other chemicals, and you began to see the incredibly complex nature of all of it. And Pharos is trying to take all of those and put it in one standardized open format. So I'm seeing that LCAs, EPDs, things like what Pharos and Building Green are doing are all basically helping to give greater transparency to the community. And I think that's a fantastic thing because honestly, I think the industry is very smart and they've actually caught up with what LEED was asking them to do previously, which is recycle content, regional materials, and all these types of things. Right. And now they're looking at that next level of knowledge. So the key question to me is how are they going to communicate that and educate the industry about it at large? Right.
Now, in terms of human health and the environment, I mean, what impact do you think some of these changes in LEED 2012 are going to have on people that are occupying the commercial spaces?
Well, I think that's a fantastic question. And so really the human health and environmental side, it's interesting, I was at an event last night with Marilyn Black, who's the founder of AQS and Green Guard. And one of the things that she said to me was staggering. She said, every month we find 20 to 30 new chemicals that we've never seen before. Wow. And we don't know the health impacts of those. Right. And so I thought, how scary, how does she sleep at night knowing that, how does she know these things? But it's one of those questions that I don't think, she said basically manufacturers, they're asking for these things from their suppliers and they don't even really know what they're getting sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. And then also the design industry as a whole isn't even aware of this. Right. So I think that the LCAs and EPDs and the things that LEED 2012 are really bringing to greater awareness are going to just open people's eyes up to, oh my gosh, all these chemicals are out there that we don't know about. Right. And one of the interesting things that happened yesterday too, Kirsten Ritchie from Gensler, who previously was with SCS, she was saying, sometimes manufacturers will, they'll ask questions to their suppliers, and they'll say, what are these raw materials that are going into my cumulative product? And sometimes they'll find out, gosh, this is a really bad chemical that we shouldn't be using, or oh my gosh, it's a really bad chemical that we have to use. Right. But oftentimes what they'll actually find is they'll go back to the supplier and the supplier will say, that's just something based on our historical lineage we've kind of always put in there from way back when. And now that you're pointing it out, we don't even really need it. Right. But we weren't aware that it was a toxin or causing a problem or what have you. So I think it gets back to that awareness really. Sure.
Now you have a new book coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you're going to be covering?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for asking. So Wiley is the publisher, and it's in a series called Becoming A. So it's becoming an architect, interior designer, landscape architect, urban planner, all those different things. And they're adding a book to the series called Becoming a Green Building Professional. And so it's about 60% oriented towards college-age students who are looking for that green career. They're trying to figure out which path to take. And then there's also the other 30–40% is people in the existing industry that are looking to make a career shift. It might be an architect who wants to become a more green architect, or an interior designer who wants to become a more green interior designer. The nice thing that we've done in this book is we've got not only the design-based professionals, so architect, interior designer, engineers, urban planners, we've also got the non-design and construction professionals, so really looking at that whole life cycle on a building, looking at operations, facility managers, real estate, transactional people, that type of thing as well.
Right. So for, let's say, someone who's starting out, or an interior designer just getting into the profession, what advice would you maybe give them if they're interested in pursuing a career in doing green design?
Well, let's say an interior designer is looking to go into a more green field or more green cant to their career. A couple of things they can do. One is they could look towards their education. Have they garnered their education yet? What kind of classes could they take? Could they take continuing education classes? Or perhaps their core education would be based with more of a green slant to it, because there's so many colleges and MBA programs and all these kinds of things that are out there now that are offering some sustainability that weren't available when I was in school, And then there's also things you can do beyond that: volunteering, mentoring, accreditation process. You might want to get your credentials, those types of things. There's lots of online courses you can take. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to garner. I would just say educate yourself as much as possible, so that you can add that to your resume and your repertoire, when you're looking for your next career path. And then build that knowledge, actually get some experience in the field. I think that's really important.
Sure, okay. Well, great, thanks so much, Holly, and thank you all for watching.
Yes.
Be sure to visit www.interiorsandsources.com, find us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for more updates from the show.